it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Whoa, what happened there? Welcome, one and all, to our flagship Sunday evening broadcast of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobler, of course.
Hello.
What the hell's wrong with my light? Why do I look dark?
You don't look dark.
Is there something wrong with my brain? My side of the screen looks dark. Maybe there's something wrong with my brain.
I don't think so, man.
Maybe I'm having brain issues tonight.
Maybe you're having like postpartum osmosis.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
Hey, you notice I shaved? So remember last time I said I was going to maybe get an electric razor? Well, it turns out I did. What a delight. What a joy. It doesn't give you a really close shave, though. Because first I sprung for the $35 one. Because I figure get a good one, right? And so I got the $35 one instead of the $20 one. The $35 electric razor did not come with a power charging cable. It didn't come with the thing you need to charge it. That's sold separately. So I go to turn it on. There's no power and there's no way to charge it. So I brought it back and I got the cheaper one, which is probably worse, which is why it doesn't give me a close shave. In 2024, who sells an electric gadget without a charger cable? Like at this point, that's assumed. That's like in the 90s they used to do that. Batteries not included, charger not included, accessories not included. Since when is that a thing anymore? Never. It always comes with the charger thing.
You look like the guy who would be cast as the radio operator in a Vietnam movie.
Oh, yeah.
Bravo Company, need air support.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe that. And it was like one of those weird USB. It wasn't like a standard USB cable. You like needed a special kind of cable that I'd have to order online. It would take me 3 days, wait 3 days to shave. I didn't want to, so I took it back. And the lady, they were very understanding, and I got the new one. And now, I have a little shadow, but I always have a little shadow, so it's fine. It's so worth it. It's such a pleasure. You don't cut yourself. I tend to cut myself shaving too, because I have ADD, so I get impatient when I shave. I try to rush through the end of it. When you're ADD, you don't like to focus on the same thing for like more than 15 minutes at a time. So I get very bored and restless and anxious when I shave.
So you would actually be terrible at that radio operator
and I cut
job.
myself up. What's that?
You would be terrible at that radio operator job.
Yeah.
I'm stereotyping you. It's the black frame, 60s kind of glasses. They like to cast people who have that look. Like this guy was just grabbed out of dissecting a frog in high school, and now he's out in the bush.
When I was back in my old theater days, I acted in a play called Laughter on the 23rd Floor, which was like the autobiographical Neil Simon play about his time writing for Sid Caesar. And so I played the young Neil Simon. And so I wanted a fresh shave before each show because he had to be this young, baby-faced, idealistic kid. And so I would shave before each show, and I would have to shave like an hour before because I would cut myself every time. And you don't want to go on stage with blood all over your face.
With toilet paper on your face.
It's not that kind of show. It's a wholesome family show.
You play it for the laugh. We meant to do that.
Yeah, I meant to do that. Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a wholesome family comedy. You don't want to go out there with blood all over your face for that. But folks, great to see you all here. 875 strong in the Rumble chat. 816 strong on YouTube. Lovely crowd to start the festivities this evening. We have a lot to get to tonight. The final two segments of the show tonight will be exclusively on Rumble. We have some really Rumble-friendly stuff, shall we say. I mean, one of the stories is really fun. The other story is quite dark. We are going to do some of the Diddy stuff, which is not fun. But the Mark Robinson stuff, the Mark Robinson sex scandal in North Carolina, that is some funny shit. And we just want to be able to be as funny as we can. So we figure we'll do it on an uncensored platform. So you're going to want to switch over to Rumble towards the end of the show. Not yet. We'll give you ample warning. But the final 2 segments of the show will be on Rumble plus the Q&A. But thank you guys all very much for being here. We appreciate everybody. And we will get started right now with the insanity. All right, folks, we're going to start out pretty light and easy stuff here. Hey, remember this guy? By this guy, I mean President Joe Biden. By remember this guy, you mean remember the most powerful man in the world, the president? He's still the president, technically speaking. Awkward moment, Biden fumbles, snaps at staffers after forgetting he was supposed to introduce Indian Prime Minister to the stage. To the New York Post reports, a confused-looking President Biden fumbled and snapped at staffers after forgetting which world leader he was supposed to introduce at a press conference event for a during the Quad Summit on Saturday. Typo, theirs, not ours. Biden, 81, was supposed to call India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the stage, but appeared to be unsure which of the 3 visiting heads of government he was meant to name. Thank you all for being here, and now, who am I introducing next? Who's next? An announcer then revealed that Modi, the head of the world's largest democracy, was up next, and the Prime Minister came up and shook hands soon after. So here is, of course, the video. Pretty funny moment here, captured on film.
Thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Distinguished guests,
referencing the classic
the Prime
Who
Minister
album.
of the Republic of India.
Who's next? He gets so pissed off. I can see clearly just the last place in the world he wants to be. Here it is.
Who's next?
Really enjoying his last days in office there. Who's next? Which one of these
guests,
assholes next? Okay,
the Prime
you.
Minister of the Republic of India.
Modi played it well, pro that he is. Hey, look, in a related story.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Joe Biden is apparently ahead of the table at the cabinet meetings now. First cabinet meeting in 11 months, and not in the king's chair. Joe Biden, no, he's at the middle of the table. Head of the table is Lady Macbeth here.
Talked about the fact that sometimes the White House, in her words, surprises you. And for somebody who has worked on women's health issues for her whole career, frankly, as a teacher, but also as the second lady and now as the first lady, she said one of the things that struck her the most was the inequities.
That's him. Now, as it cuts back, there he is on the left-hand side.
That's
about
it. That's
5 or 6 people down. That looks like
that's
him.
Oh, I see him. I see him.
Yeah. Right in the middle there. Right. But yeah,
next
first
to
cabinet meeting in 11
dude.
months. There she is. Yeah. So, I mean, look, once again, you know, one of the things that the Biden administration has proven to us, and they proved this to us long before now, since day one, they've proved to us that it's really President Jake Sullivan, it's really President Anthony Blinken, it's really President Lloyd Austin. Part of why he's been so ineffective as president, and part of why his president has been such a disaster, is because he laid bare who really runs the country. This was from day one. I mean, now it's 100 times worse, but from day one, it was very clear that the president is just a figurehead. And because Biden had no charisma, no presence, because he had nothing left from day one of his presidency, we all just saw right through him to all of the shadowy figures who usually run government. You know, Dick Cheney, John Ashcroft, Donald Rumsfeld, they ran things when George W. Bush was president. But George W. Bush, and he was hardly a sort of paragon of charisma. He could at least command your attention. Biden can't even do that. So we always saw right through him. Now that on top of being just well past his prime, he's basically an invalid. Now there's no way to even fake it, to the point where let Jill sit at the head of the table. Oh, we got a meeting with Narendra Modi. Who's next? Who's that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, now there's just no illusion left.
And it really also is quite a statement on the paragon of journalism that is MSNBC, that if you listen to their little bit of narrative there, it's like, oh, this is all perfectly normal.
Oh yeah, they don't mention it.
This is all fine. This is all fine. You didn't see any of the mainstream so-called outlets talking about the optics of that, even from that perspective. They just didn't talk. No, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. This is fine. The president is in charge. He's okay. Yeah. And yeah, look, that kind of behavior, that's very typical of people in the early stages of senility. They get frustrated, they panic, and they lash out. They have those kinds of temper tantrums. Given that he was always that kind of a guy, it's not good. Believe me, not good.
Not good. And when you look at this, now it kind of makes more sense why Jill was hanging on so long. You know, why Jill was so reluctant to pass along the word that he couldn't run. Because she's the president. She's the most powerful person in the world.
She doesn't want to give that up.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe for our arts festival, we could do like a parody Macbeth, where Macbeth is senile, and the Lady Macbeth is Joe Biden.
Could set it in like Wilmington. You know, just do an adaptation of Macbeth in Wilmington, Delaware. Hey, that'd be a good idea.
Well, you know what? That is what Shakespeare in the Park has been doing for years. You know, Julius Caesar is always Trump or some Republican. We should turn that around. And
that theater in Manchester,
do a Shakespeare that parodies Democrats.
We're doing a story later. There's a theater in Manchester in the UK who just had a Shakespeare production pulled because they thought it was too pro-Palestine. So if they need a production to do a sort of subversive, dissident production, maybe they could do Macbeth set in Wilmington.
Yeah,
there's got to be a good role for like the hunter type there too.
Yeah, we'll collaborate.
Yeah, exactly. You got the three witches.
I've got a side room. They'll fit.
Oh yeah, you could do like Maddow, Joy Reid, and Claire McCaskill as the three witches. You know.
Honestly, we're brainstorming this, but actually that would be pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's not bad. I think we got an idea. I think we have a concept. Soon we'll develop it into an idea.
Little funding, we can develop it into an idea.
Is that the line in Annie Hall?
Yes. Right now it's just a concept, but with some funding, I think I can turn it into an idea.
I can turn it into an idea. Exactly. So there we go. We will greenlight that. In our minds, at least. We got Jake in the booth tonight, folks. A big round of applause for Jake fielding Rumble Rants. We got some Super Chats coming in. We will read all of your Rumble Rants and Super Chats in due time. Canada Strike, thanks for the $5. Yes, it's DD time. P.S. Why is there a whale in my name? I promise you I lost weight. I don't know. That's up
there a whale in your name?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a whale? Is that a name of a whale that I'm missing? I don't see a whale in your name.
We didn't put a whale in.
We didn't put a whale in.
We wouldn't even know how to do that.
There we go. Canada Strike Keaton, that shave is suave AF, man. Keep it up. Russ, you got it. Thank you, Canada Strike.
I did.
Appreciate
yes, I did.
That. Shout out to Gilgamesh. Dr.
Keaton is suave, man.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Gilgamesh called into George Galloway. Our friend Nick Cruz was on the George Galloway show today. Shout out to Gilgamesh. Heard him call into George Galloway earlier today. Recognized his voice immediately. Shout out Gilgamesh.
Nico was just on his show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, he has guests on quite a bit, but I know Galloway takes calls, so apparently Gilgamesh got through today. Good for you, Gilgamesh. Congratulations. Over on YouTube, we got a $2 thumbs up from JM. Thank you, JM. We got a 99-cent super sticker from Abiding. Thank you, sir. Guy Fieri, thanks for the $2. Is Keaton taking puberty blockers? No, I told you I was shaving. And actually, I still have some shadow, but it's not picking up in the camera. Moose World says Keaton no longer looks like a goy. Really? I thought I looked more like a goy when I shave. What do you think? Do I look more Jewy or less Jewy when I shave?
More. All you need is like the tape on the bridge of the glasses.
Oh yeah. So you think I look less goy without the beard? Is that what you're saying? All right.
No, you look like a certain type of goy. You look like the dorky type of goy.
Interesting.
That's where I'm going with the radio operator and knob. You look like that dorky goy.
All right. There we go. See, I didn't know. American disaster.
Like the one who comes from like Lawrence, Kansas or something.
Yeah, really? I look like I'm from
one
Lawrence,
of those
Kansas.
places. Yeah.
Pass for a good American boy. American Disaster, thanks to the $2. Keaton resembles Joker Full Metal Jacket. Thank you, American Disaster. Appreciate that. Got a lot of comments on my looks. I'm feeling very objectified this evening.
He knows where he gets the reference.
Yeah. Yep. Very objectified this evening is how I'm feeling. All righty. Let's hit that like button, folks. Let's hit that subscribe button. Great crowd filing in here. 1,300 strong in the YouTube chat. 1,200 over on Rumble. Hit that follow button on Rumble. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Please and thank you very much. Folks, Donald Trump did a couple of pro-Israel events in Washington, D.C. This little video cut focuses on one of them, and here he is in front of an American and Israeli flag, and he actually says the phrase. You know, a lot of people in our space sort of, took some shots at him. Hey, is he ever going to say make Israel great again? Is the MAGA movement really make Israel great again? Well, here's your answer, folks.
Back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before.
There we go. There you go. We're going to make Israel great again. And then we'll go on to see some other gems that he drops in this speech here.
We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before. I am the best defender you've had as president by far. I think there'd be no question. Miriam mentioned 4 or 5 of the things. Those each individual thing. Oh, her husband would drive me crazy. You have to do this. You have to do that. You don't know what I had to put up with. She was like the calming influence. I said, Sheldon, I can't do that. It's too much. He said, no. And every time I got something, he'd immediately start with something else, right? You just had a big victory. Let's celebrate. No, we have to immediately start. Let's see if we can do Golan Heights. How about Golan Heights? They've been trying to get it for 72 years. I got it done in about 15 minutes, okay? Even Sheldon couldn't believe that one, I'll tell you. Even Sheldon couldn't believe that one. He said, we just got Golan Heights. They didn't even ask for it. I actually gave you that one. You didn't ask for it, but I thought it was important. The Democrats are bad to Israel, very bad. They'll never change because they have a section of their party now which has become amazingly and quickly very powerful, vote-wise. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian. Who would have thought that was going to happen? What the hell happened to him? I saw him the other day. He was dressed in one of their robes. That'll be next. No, Chuck Schumer is Hamas all the way. I don't know what the hell happened to him. If you support him, you're crazy.
Okay. So that was quite something so far. Now, what we just heard was, of course, nothing surprising to anyone who's been really paying any attention to who Donald Trump is, to who he has been. But he goes a little mob boss on the Jews now, because if you notice, part of what was included in that first edit was him talking about what a great protector he is of Israel and of the Jewish people. He goes on a huge rant against the college protests in this speech as well, and says outright, I am the best protector, you've ever had. But what does the mob do when they offer protection? There's always a catch. So here he says, hey, I'm the greatest protector you've ever had if I win. If I lose, though, it would be a shame if I told people to blame it on you, meaning you Jews. Yeah. So here comes the hammer.
He's going with the old stabbed in the back.
Yes. Be a shame if something happened to this establishment, right?
But I will put it to you very simply and gently. I really haven't been treated right. But you haven't been treated right because you're putting yourself in great danger, and the United States hasn't been treated right. So if I don't win this election, and I've been very good, they say Trump's been right about everything. I've been right about a lot of things. Even Ted will admit that. I've been right about a lot of things that a lot of people said, no, that won't happen, but a lot of bad things happened, and some good things I've been right about too. And I only want to be, so I'm not going to call this as a prediction, but in my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with a loss. If I'm at 40%, if I'm at 4, think of it, that means 60% are voting for Kamala, who in particular is a bad Democrat. The Democrats are bad to Israel, very bad. They'll never change because they have a section of their party now which has become amazingly and quickly very powerful. Vote.
Okay, so that gets into what we played earlier. But he starts saying, hey, I'll be your greatest protector if I win. But if I lose, you know, my base, who, let's be real, not too keen on the Jews. I'm going to blame it on the Jews if I lose. So if you're Jewish, you better suck it up and vote for me. You'd be crazy not to vote for me because I'm the greatest protector you've ever had. And if 60% of Jews vote for Kamala, as polling suggests they will, that's why he cited that, I'm only getting 40%, meaning she's getting 60%, then I'm going to say we lost because of the Jews. And I'm going to turn my base against the Jews. So that is old school New York mob boss talk right there.
Nah,
so you go from
that's
just
older school than that. Hey,
look, I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure Lucky Luciano predates the Third Reich. Does he not? That's old school. Contemporaneous, yeah. That is old school. So just some really despicable talk about, hey, I got you Golan Heights. You didn't even ask for it. I got it for you. Followed by a veiled threat that if the Jews don't get smart and vote for me, I'm going to turn my base against them and blame my defeat on them.
Yeah. Well, what's also really remarkable when you listen to this is people who claim that Trump is independent. Trump isn't owned. He's literally describing to you how he is dominated by contributors like the Adelsons.
The Adelsons, yeah.
How they're telling her, no, I was saying to them, it's too soon. No, they'd be pushing me. So what? How is he independent? Like, what makes you think he's gonna have an independence in office that he doesn't have now? Not only doesn't he have it, he's not hiding it. He's going on stage and he's telling you. Now, you want to say that's refreshing in its honesty? I mean, I guess. But this election, more and more as the days and weeks go by, it is just the Scylla and Charybdis election. Pick your poison. You want your poison rainbow colored, or you want it colorless and odorless and mayonnaise flavored, because
Right.
that's really all that's on the table. Kim actually, when we interviewed her, made a pretty good argument, because a lot of us have been saying, well, at least it'll be better on the censorship. And she did, I think, rightly point out, it's the tech companies that make those decisions. When did they really crack down? After Trump got elected.
Right.
Like, what makes you think all of a sudden Trump gets elected again, the people who own these companies are going to say, we better back down on the censorship? What makes you think that? Especially given that Trump's not going to have a unified government. I mean, almost certainly would not. So suppose he wanted to go and strike down, I think it's Section 240 that gives them the immunity from being regarded as having the responsibilities and liabilities of publishers. Suppose he wanted to. You're never getting it past a Democratic House or a Democratic Senate. So really, in the end, even let's say he has the best intentions. He wants to go and open up free speech, which, again, statements he's made about deporting people from the country for being
a year in prison for flag burning.
A year in prison would
10 years in prison for defacing a statue. That's what he said during the George Floyd protest. You draw a dick and balls on Teddy Roosevelt, it's 10 years. He didn't say dick and balls. That's my editorializing, but that's what he wanted to do.
And that is what is so clownish about people who are pretending that Donald Trump is going to be some kind of champion of civil rights. It's what I've been talking about all year. It's the peasant mind. People want to serve somebody. They want to bow to somebody. They want to believe in somebody. They want to feel like they're part of some movement. And this guy, he's a scumbag. It's not even like with Obama. He kind of didn't say anything. so you could project onto him what you wanted to see. Trump's telling you right out, he's no civil libertarian. He's not.
Of course,
he's not going to end the war in Gaza if that's something that you care about. If anything, he's going to up the arms supply to Israel. He's going to up the funding, with the logic being, this is dragging out too long. We have to finish it. We're going to give them what they need so they can finish this, and then we'll have a beautiful peace. We'll have the best peace. We'll have a peace like you never saw. It's just fucking nonsense. The guy's been in office already. Did he do the things he said he was going to do? Did he crack down on these hedge fund managers? Where was that? We're going to have the best, big, beautiful health plan. Where was that? So really, this is just, I think a lot of what's left of that, people just don't want to feel hopeless. They want to feel like there's something that they can believe in. They want to feel like there's something they can invest in. Even though this guy, much more so than in 2016, he's really going out of his way to tell you he's not any of that. And he's not going to be any of that.
Well, this is the big difference between, especially at this late stage of the campaign, between now and 2016. You know, at this point on the calendar, late September 2016, he was on script. He had Steve Bannon writing these very populist speeches about a certain nationalism, yes, but nationalism against globalism. You know, they were pretty red-pilled speeches, very well-written speeches. And he had Kellyanne Conway in the war room strategically figuring out where they had to take their message. Right. Okay, here's a purple county and a purple state that Hillary is weak in and she hasn't visited. Let's go rally there. Let's go buy ads there. Like, there was a strategy. There was a precision. There was an execution. There was an ethos of the campaign. Now this guy has just been turned loose by a couple of hacks, that Chris Lasidova, the smear merchant from the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth, the John Kerry smear campaign in 2004. He was the mastermind behind that. And then Wiles, I forget her name. I think Barbara Wiles, who's like just a hack. She worked for John Huntsman, just a dime store Republican operative. There was no direction of the campaign, and he is just, I'm sorry, he's just a fucking incorrigible asshole. And this election, like, I understand going in saying, hey, things are so dire right now because of the state of the world under Joe Biden. Joe Biden's tenure in the White House has been defined by crippling inflation, apocalyptic war, and Orwellian censorship. I understand feeling like we got to throw some kind of Hail Mary, and maybe Trump is that. But the way he has handled himself on this campaign has just been disgraceful. I am just so disgusted by the way this campaign has gone. On both sides. That's why we're not voting for either candidate. I mean, I could go on a similar rant about Kamala Harris. I've done it about 1,000 times. We do it all the time. But it's just like, I can't come on here and be honest with you and tell you that this is any kind of play. This guy is just an incorrigible fucking scumbag. He is an Eric Cartman all grown up. He proves that every time he opens his mouth. And this has been one of the worst, probably the worst run campaign I've ever seen in my life, considering how winnable this election was, considering how in the bag this was for Donald Trump in mid-July. He survives an assassination attempt and has the whole world on him to make a convention speech. Totally blows it, shits the bed. Probably the worst political speech I've ever heard in my life. And since then, it has been one terrible decision after another, after another, after another. They have literally not done a single thing right since mid-July. Not a single thing right. I can't think of one.
Mr. Trump, why do you think you lost the election?
AOO.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. And then what's the other one? Don't you have the other one? What's the other South Park one? I have another Cartman one there too. Right?
Screw you guys. Yes. I'm getting mad.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Followed by that. Yeah, no, I mean, look, you just got to call a spade a spade. The guy's been absolutely fucking awful. Absolutely awful.
That's it. I look, I mean, we understand that there's gold in them dar MAGA hills, but our commitment to you is to tell the truth as we see it. Doesn't mean we're always going to be right, but we're always going to be honest. And honestly, it's a total shit show. And as time goes on, even the well, at least he'll be better on this, even which we've been pretty much saying. I don't even know about that at this point. And that doesn't mean I'm not saying, well, Kamala's pulling out ahead on being better. It's just the Scylla and Charybdis. It's just a nightmare on both ends.
Yes. Good point, Charles. Indeed. All right, folks. Why don't we move some coffee? How about that? We'll lighten the mood a little bit.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Sounds like a good idea. Hey, have you heard of the recent advertising scandal? I'll break it down for you. So the CEO of Rumble, Chris Pavlovsky, recently released an email from Inspire Brands and Dunkin' Donuts. That email explicitly states that the right-wing culture, quote-unquote, of Rumble is too polarizing. In other words, Dunkin' Donuts has a problem with the culture of Rumble and wants nothing to do with it. So here's the solution. Stop buying products that don't support free speech and start supporting brands that do. So the competing coffee brand that we should all get behind here is Rumble 1775 Coffee. For a limited time, Rumble is offering buy 2 bags of coffee and get 1 for free. They're 16-ounce bags, too, so you get a lot of coffee with every purchase. So go to 1775coffee.com and enter promo code Dunkin. Good troll there. Good troll game by Rumble. DUNKIN promo code at 1775coffee.com to get that limited buy 2, get 1 free deal. All right. Perfect. Nailed it, as they say. All right. Let's move on to some Rumble rants and some super chats. Sammy73 became a member on YouTube. Thank you for that, Sammy. Appreciate that very much. Tom, thanks for the $9.99. Hope you guys didn't take my super chat Friday to mean I am now anti-Semitic. I don't remember your super chat from Friday, Tom, but I don't remember being triggered and crying after the show, so I don't think I took it as anti-Semitic. Russell, did you get triggered and cry after the show on Thursday?
I don't. I did, but that was because things went poorly for me in another area.
Oh yeah.
I paid top dollar for my hooker that week, and and she was subpar, shall we say?
She was subpar. Was that the problem?
Subpar.
Oh, she was subpar. Okay, all right. We will take that with a grain of salt.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, he has more. Meant that's why they ILB lowball me now for standing up for Palestinians, despite my long history being friends with Jewish people. Oh, were you the one who gave us the $200? That was a big super chat. Yeah, no, I didn't take that as anti-Semitic, Tom.
As anti-Semitic? No. What do you mean, man? You're like our hero. That was how I paid for the hooker. That's why I was so disappointed.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, to be honest, Tom, for $200, you could be as anti-Semitic as you want. What pisses us off is, you give us $4 and then you are anti-Semitic.
And you start talking about the only thing wrong with Hitler was his mustache.
Yeah, right. I mean,
we get upset at that point.
For $200, you could dog whistle all you want. Just don't be too on the nose because YouTube will censor you.
Yeah.
But if you're going to donate that much, then it's no sweat either way. But no, in all seriousness, no, we did not take it that way. And we appreciate that very kind super chat on Thursday. Gorgeous Mayhem, thanks for the $5. If you guys want to know what is up with polling, you should interview Rich Barry's the People's Pundit. He's a populist. Only thing he's gotten wrong is 2022. Interesting. All right, I will look into that. I'm a nerd for polling, so I am always on the lookout for stuff like that to read. So thank you for that recommendation. Peter version 1 for $4.99 says Dems want war with Russia and the Middle East. Trump, Middle East, Stein, none. Although the UN said Israel has 12 months to end Palestinian occupation, why not 12 hours? I mean, the UN, look, I appreciate some of what they've done, but they have no real authority. It's a toothless organization. I mean, if the UN had its way, there would have been a ceasefire back in October of last year. So I mean, look, as we've said, better they say those things than not, but that alone is not much of a sign of hope. Kenman says Braun makes the best electric shaver. Second best is the knife cream combo. Yeah, maybe I should have gotten a Braun. You know what? A lot of them didn't come with the charger cables, though. I went with the one that said on the box it came with the charger cable because I wasn't going to chance it. I didn't want to open it up because, now they keep them in back of the glass. You have to call someone over to take you to open up the electric razors now. It's a big ordeal to get one, and it's a big ordeal to return one. So I just went with the Remington. Noah Goop, thanks for the $1. I would love for Russ to do a Diddy video, fall of Star Wars style. Yeah, there you go. It's good.
Well, no, seriously, like I do want to do video essays about serious subjects in that style. It's just so hard to find the time for it when you're doing 3 shows a week.
Yeah.
Because you're always, plus we're trying to do an interview.
Yeah.
Plus we got Patron shows. So when do you find time to do that? Now I'm actually speaking at Rage Against the War Machine. I got a speech to write.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, yes, Russ is speaking at Rage Against the War Machine. And then covering as press the Rescue the Republic rally the day after. I'll be in Kingston on Saturday at the Peace and Freedom rally with a terrific lineup as well. Max Blumenthal, Anya Parampil, Judge Napolitano, Gerald Salenti, Scott Ritter. So that's a great lineup, especially for Kingston. Usually the big cities get the names like that, but those are some big names, especially for a fairly small town. So that'll be a busy weekend. But yeah, Russ is going to be speaking at Rage Against War. And yes, we do have a Patron show tomorrow at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. matinee tomorrow, a supporter stream. So mark your calendars for that. Abiding 71, Keaton, you would have made a great Jason Alexander in Brighton Beach Memoirs. Impressive reference. I'm surprised. I'm always surprised when people know that he was in that. But yes, he did act in that. Thank you, Abiding. Appreciate that. Noah Goop, if Trump wins, he should take on Joe as White House spokesperson, do something nice for the old fella. Yeah, that would be funny. That'd be a nice sign of bipartisanship. The Peopled Infinite, today's Keaton equals Corey Feldman a la Stand By Me. Keep dropping fire, fellas. Best political podcast, in my opinion. Not a contest. Thank you, Peopled Infinite. Appreciate that very much. Noah Goop, it's almost like maybe that Epstein-Trump relationship wasn't such a nothing burger, eh? Yeah. Well,
hey, man, I'm not going to put that on Trump. Bill Clinton flew on that plane, 26 times?
No, I think what he's saying. I think what he's saying is that's why he's up Israel's ass, and I think he's up Israel's ass because that's just kind of who he is. I think honestly, it's more the developer in him than anyone else. He said it's amazing what they've done with Israel. They've done a beautiful job, meaning they've built nice buildings in the middle of the third world. That's what that means. Right. Exactly. So that's the way. That's the eyes through which he sees it.
He's looking at that beachfront Gaza property just like they are.
Exactly. Exactly. So they bankrupted Atlantic City. He wants to make Gaza the Atlantic City of Israel.
Yeah.
That's where I think he comes from, honestly. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Use it as a big development opportunity.
I mean, Trump, this is why he needed a Bannon, very much like W. He doesn't really have any convictions or vision. He needs somebody to put words in his mouth that he can then go deliver like a nightclub act, which is essentially what he is.
Right.
Give him some lines, and he can be funny. He can be good. He can do his Rodney Dangerfield shtick. But you just leave him out there on his own, and you just see there's nothing there. There's nothing there. He's just going along with whoever's talking to him. This idea, we're gonna influence him and see who we. Right, we're gonna influence who he puts in his cabinet. Yeah, like the AIPAC and the Zionist lobby and certain very dark elements of Silicon Valley don't have their hands so far up his ass, moving his mouth that you could see their fingers around his tonsils. Give me a break.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely agreed. All righty, folks. We're gonna move on. All right, this is a very serious segment here. This is a very urgent segment here. The Missouri Independent, this is a commentary piece, but it's very well researched and well sourced. And so I want to read the lion's share of this. If courts fail to intervene, Missouri governor must halt the execution of Marcellus Williams. So Marcellus Williams is a death row inmate who was sentenced to be executed this Tuesday. And so there is a last minute push to postpone, if not outright cancel, the execution. This has already been delayed a number of times based on certain processes to try and get this overturned. Missouri plans to execute Marcellus Williams on September 24th. If that occurs, he'd be the 100th person executed in our state, Missouri, since 1989. A shameful milestone and another instance of executing a possibly innocent person. Williams has always professed his innocence in the 1998 murder of Felicia Gale Picus. The prosecution's case against him was based solely on notoriously unreliable, incentivized informant testimony and circumstantial evidence. No physical evidence or eyewitnesses implicated him. The current St. Louis County prosecuting attorney, Wesley Bell, tried to have the conviction overturned, but did not convince Judge Bruce Hinton following a hearing that there was sufficient evidence to overturn the conviction. However, there is plenty of evidence that the original prosecution was flawed and unfair. In a statement following Judge Hinton's ruling, Tricia Rojo Bushnell, executive director of the Midwest Innocence Project, emphasized Bell's office sought to vacate the conviction because, quote, there was overwhelming evidence his trial was unconstitutionally unfair. Retired St. Louis County Assistant Prosecutor Keith Larner, who oversaw the initial 2001 prosecution of Williams, testified at the August 28th hearing that on at least 5 occasions he handled without gloves the knife used to murder Gale Picus. Testing conducted in mid-August found the DNA of both Larner and Ed McGee, an investigator with the prosecution, on the knife handle. Attorneys for Williams and Bell argued this mishandling contaminated the weapon, potentially obscuring DNA evidence of the assailant and shutting a key evidentiary door, which could have helped exonerate Williams. Besides mishandling evidence, Williams' attorneys contended Larner's testimony helped prove he struck 6 of 7 African Americans from the original jury pool due to their race, leaving 1 black member on an otherwise all-white jury, thus denying Williams a chance to be tried before a jury of his peers. Race has always had a sordid history in the implementation of the death penalty in this country. Black people are disproportionately executed, 38 of 99 in Missouri, over 3 times the statewide population. And while African Americans have been about 60% of murder victims in our state over the past 5 decades, 78 of the 99 people executed were convicted of murdering white victims. Actually, yes, the racial disparity in death penalty cases is much more on the victim side than the perpetrator side. All murder is reprehensible, and Gale Picus's death was particularly gruesome as the assailant stabbed her more than 40 times. Police investigators found an abundance of physical evidence at the crime scene, fingerprints, bloodied shoe prints, and hairs, but none of it implicated Williams. Ultimately, prosecutors also unethically destroyed evidence, including lifted fingerprints, before his trial attorneys had the chance to have them tested independently. St. Louis County Police had no leads for 10 months following the murder until Dr. Daniel Picus, the husband of the victim, offered a $10,000 reward for evidence leading to the conviction of his wife's murderer. That's when Henry Cole called the police, claiming Williams confessed to the killing while the two were in jail together. A few months later, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported Laura Asaro was arrested for sex work. She told officers she had information about Gale Picus's murder, but when detectives tried questioning her, she refused, admitting she was, quote, just trying to get out of the arrest. Upon learning of the reward, though, Asaro then implicated Williams. Williams' attorneys contend the 2 witnesses' stories changed throughout the investigation, often contradicting their earlier statement and the facts of the crime. Both died several years ago. Their relatives have provided statements under oath reporting the 2, both with extensive prior convictions and a history of drug use, were known for providing police false information to benefit themselves. Okay, so this sort of op-ed commentary piece in the Missouri Independent was sourced from this. This is the primary document by the PA, the motion to vacate or set aside judgment, and suggestions in support. So this kind of fleshes out a little bit more of this Lauren Asaro character. Hold on, I will get rid of our pesky logo there so I could read that properly. Asaro was not unknown to police. She had spoken with them before, both when facing charges of her own and when acting as an informant. And it wasn't their first time talking to her in relation to Ms. Gale's murder. On September 1st, 1998, after being arrested for prostitution, Asaro told officers that she had information related to the murder of the woman in U City. But when detectives arrived to question her, she would not talk to them, stating she was just trying to get out of the arrest. Police questioned her for 2 hours to no avail. Although Asaro was known to police after their interview with Cole on June 4th, 1999, police enlisted Cole as an informant for the next 4 months to try to make contact with Asaro. Detectives provided him with a pager so she could contact him, but Cole's efforts to get Asaro to incriminate Mr. Williams were unsuccessful. But police had another method of contacting Asaro due to her having several outstanding warrants. On August 5th, 1999, detectives visited Asaro in jail after an arrest and told her that the charges would be dropped if she cooperated. She was not receptive, so detectives then told her that Ms. Gale's husband had posted a $10,000 reward in the case involving the death of his wife, and she would be eligible for some or all of the money if she helped out. Asaro continued to deny, even after that reward was offered, that she had any information about the crime. By November 1999, police had not uncovered any information at this point that would corroborate what Cole told them. On November 17th, 1999, officers once again went to visit Asaro. Asaro, who was then working as a sex worker and using drugs, believed the officers were there to arrest her on outstanding warrants. The police offered once again to help Asaro with her warrants if she provided information about the murder of Ms. Gale. They told her she was guilty of withholding evidence if she did not cooperate. Okay, wow. So I want to go back to the beginning of this document just to read the sort of first part, the way this outlines everything, okay? Comes now the prosecuting attorney of the County of St. Louis and through special counsel for wrongful convictions, Matthew A. Jacober, and pursuant to section 547.031, moves to vacate or set aside the judgment by which the defendant, Marcellus Williams, was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of Felicia Gale. Mr. Williams received a sentence of death. Section 547.031 provides that the prosecuting attorney may move to vacate or set aside a conviction at any time if he or she has information that the convicted person may be innocent or may have been erroneously convicted. Here, DNA evidence supporting a conclusion that Mr. Williams was not the individual who stabbed Ms. Gale has never been considered by a court. This never before considered evidence, when paired with the relative paucity of other credible evidence supporting guilt, as well as additional considerations of ineffective assistance of counsel and racial discrimination in jury selection, casts inexorable doubt on Mr. Williams' conviction and sentence. On August 11th, 1998, Felicia Alicia Gale was found brutally murdered in her home. She had been victim to a violent and bloody crime. Her body was riddled with over 43 stab wounds. There was blood everywhere. Blood on the stairs, on the wall, near Miss Gale's body, and in the upstairs bedroom. The crime scene was rife with physical evidence. The weapon, a kitchen knife, was left lodged in Miss Gale's neck. Bloody shoe prints were present near a knife sheath in the kitchen, in the hallway leading to the front foyer, and on the rug near Mrs. Gale's body. Bloody fingerprints were found along the wall, and the hairs believed to belong to the perpetrator were collected from Miss Gale's t-shirt, her hands, and the floor. Here's the thing. None of this physical evidence tied Mr. Williams to Ms. Gale's murder. Mr. Williams was excluded as the source of the footprints. Mr. Williams was excluded by microscopy, as the source of the hairs found near Miss Gale's body, which did not match Miss Gale or her husband, the home's only residents, and thus were presumably the perpetrators. And Mr. Williams was not found to be the source of the fingerprints. Now, 3 DNA experts have reviewed the DNA testing performed on the knife, and each has independently concluded that Mr. Williams is excluded as the source of the male DNA on the handle of the murder weapon. Miss Gale's murderer left behind considerable physical evidence none of that physical evidence can be tied to Mr. Williams. Prosecutors are bound by the ethics of their office to inform the appropriate authority of after required or other information that casts doubt upon the correctness of the conviction. In this respect, public confidence in the justice system is restored, not undermined, when the prosecutor is accountable for a wrongful or constitutionally infirm conviction. So then the op-ed finishes, regardless of whether Judge Hinton could be convinced that there was enough evidence to conclusively prove Williams innocent, there is so much evidence pointing away from him and towards prosecutorial misconduct that Missouri executing him runs a huge risk of executing an innocent man. Moreover, Dr. Daniel Pikus, the husband of the victim, has opposed the execution. If courts fail to intervene, Missouri Governor Mike Parson must halt the execution of a man quite likely wrongly convicted. Okay, so we have some more materials, but we can stop there for a moment. I just have two very quick things to say, and then I'll toss to you. Number one, what is the upside of executing people exactly? Is it to satisfy some need for revenge amongst the population?
Yeah.
Like, what is the upside? Because it seems to me there's all downside. The only thing you do when you execute someone is you run the risk of making an irreversible mistake of killing someone who didn't do it, or in this case, who might not have done it. As the op-ed says, maybe there's not evidence here to conclusively prove his innocence, but of course the burden of proof is always on the state. It's always on the prosecution, which brings me to point number two. It seems to be a pattern, the more we look into these criminal cases, of jurors not really understanding their responsibility under the law. When you are the juror in a criminal case, you don't vote guilty or not guilty based on whether you think the person is guilty or not guilty. You vote guilty or not guilty based on whether or not the prosecution has proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. In other words, if you are leaning guilty, but you think there's reasonable doubt as to the defendant's guilt, you have a constitutional responsibility to, in that case, vote not guilty. Even if you think there's better than 50-50 odds they are guilty. The standard is guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The state must prove their case against someone if you are to lock them in a cage for years or for the rest of their life, or, and this shouldn't happen ever, I'm against the death penalty, kill them. Like, that is the responsibility of a juror. And it seems at the very least here, you could say there is nowhere near proof beyond a reasonable doubt that this guy is guilty of murder.
Yeah, I read a book sometime back. It was all cases that the Innocence Project was working on. I think it was called Actual Innocence. And they really got into what these prosecutors do, and it's horrifying. They will bring people in, and they'll just lead them around to the suspect they want them to choose. Look at this picture. Are you sure that's not the person you saw? Right. Are you sure that's not the person you saw? Well, it might be the person I saw. Okay, so you're saying it's the person you saw. And in spite of what...
Well, this Asara woman, they went back to her, what, 3 times?
Right.
It looks like,
right.
Yeah.
You have to remember.
They offered money, that didn't work. Then they offered to hold her in contempt or whatever. You will be guilty of withholding evidence, whatever the charge was. I forget. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not like an episode of Law and Order. That's not how it works in real life. In real life, these cops and these prosecutors are trying to make cases because this is their profession. That is how they advance in the ranks, particularly prosecutors. In a case like this, it's going to be prosecuted by the DA's office. And a lot of those people, if not most of them, are looking ahead to private practice. They're looking ahead to making the real money as high-paid defense lawyers. And how do you get that? By racking up cases, by showing that you're a winner. Insofar as they evaluate any kind of ethics behind what they're doing, well, that's on the defense attorney to mount an adequate defense. Now, I'm not going to say all prosecutors will go beyond the law, but what I will say is nationwide, we know this is a problem. They'll stack charges on people so that they won't even go to court. Now, yeah, you're facing 50 years in prison.
Right.
Or you could plea it down. Are you going to risk it?
Exactly.
Are you going to take the chance? That happened with the Newberg case that we covered. Most
in that
people
case, they didn't take the deal, but yeah, they offered them a reduced sentence.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They stacked up the charges and they refused to take the deal. But most people will take the deal because, man, I would probably take the deal if you're telling me you're going to face 50 years. I know how corrupt the justice system is. And particularly, I'm sorry, in spite of what Matt Walsh might believe, yes, there is systemic racism. It is not an accident that the core, most valid manifestation of critical race theory grew out of an analysis of the disparities in the criminal justice system. It was originally an effort to explain why you can change the law to eliminate discrimination from the legal code and yet wind up with these unequal results that you're talking about. If you want to talk about the death penalty, you can't even begin to talk about the death penalty until you get rid of that disparity. And and then beyond that, you would have to have a perfect justice system because you're talking about something that's so irreversible and so horrific to do to somebody who's innocent. And this is something we don't like to talk about. But if you start researching this, we've executed a lot of innocent people, certainly executed a lot of innocent people. And this is, God forbid, about to be one of them, it seems.
Yeah. Well, there's a call to action at the end of this, and that's attached to a piece that the Innocence Project just put out 2 days ago. For the third time, Marcellus Williams faces execution, the grim reality unfolding. So this is emotionally kind of tough to take, but this is how we go about executing people in this great freedom-loving country of ours. Notably, Missouri has executed several people before all of their appeals were technically done. The pentobarbital used by the state of Missouri was banned for use in executions by the manufacturer, but the state is still able to get the drug. The majority of pharmaceutical companies have stopped supplying drugs for use in executions after years of pressure from advocates. As supplies have become less available, states have illegally imported drugs across state lines, and some states, including Missouri, have purchased the drugs from compounding pharmacies, which formulate drugs that are not available at commercial pharmacies. Compounding pharmacies are not required to register with the FDA or inform the FDA of what drugs they are making. Missouri buys the drugs used for their executions in cash from an unknown source. Sounds like something Joe Biden would throw a black guy in jail for in the 90s, right?
Yep.
Hey, we're paying in cash for this unregulated substance.
Yep.
All right. Mr. Williams has repeatedly faced imminent execution as he has tried to prove his innocence. September 24th will be the third time that Mr. Williams has faced execution. In 2017, mere hours before he was to be executed and after eating his last meal, then Governor Eric Greitens granted a stay of execution. Despite the fact that the victim's family opposes his execution, the Missouri Attorney General has continued to fight to execute Mr. Williams at every turn. It is not too late for Governor Parson to ensure that Missouri does not take an innocent man's life. The governor should exercise his authority to grant clemency and commute Mr. Williams' sentence to life without parole, or at a minimum, stay the execution to allow the resolution of further appeals. So the Innocence Project tweeted this out here. This is it. We only have 2 days to stop Missouri from executing Marcellus Williams, an innocent man. Though Governor Parsons' office is closed today, that's Sunday, we can't let a single moment go where we're not urging him to take action. Email, tweet, and contact his office now. And so they put the phone number for you to call. Take a screenshot of that, folks. Write that down. Call that number. I guess you can call tonight and leave a voicemail, but you're probably better off calling first thing tomorrow. Just flood that inbox. Let's get, 50,000 of our loyal Due Dissidents audience to leave some voicemails there. Email and tweet by visiting savemarcellus.org and share this post far and wide. That's on our Twitter. I will pin that to the top of our profile, actually, to make sure everybody can find that. So you can go to our Twitter and find that post. I'm actually going to do that right now. Meant to do that before the show. Here we go. Pin.
This is, these are truly dark times. People often ask what they can do to make a difference, what you can do that's positive. Here is something that you can do. This man, based on the information we just shared, is almost certainly about to be executed for a crime that he did not commit. Just imagine being in a position like that. Imagine being in this man's situation. Take you 2 minutes to make a phone call, less than that to email or tweet, but do something to put pressure on this governor's office to let them know people are watching.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you can pin a repost, but I just unreposted and re-reposted. So that should be at the top of our profile now if you need it. But take a screenshot on your phone, do whatever you got to do, get that number down and make the call. Look, extremely dark times. It's just such an ugly thing to do. It's just such an ugly thing in general. I mean, again, what is the need for it? Why? Why does the state have to kill people? Why can't you just, if someone is a danger to society, we are supposed to have jails to protect the population from dangerous people. You're not supposed to have drug users in jail. You're not supposed to have nonviolent criminals in a cage. It's just a barbaric thing. You know, sometimes you talk to people and, you know, like we interviewed a prison abolitionist on the show long time ago, way before this was a video show. And, you know, people like prison abolitionists, you look at them, and when they say we need no prisons at all, you think, well, that's radical, that's extreme. And maybe in a literal sense it is, right? I mean, Charles Manson, what were we supposed to do with him? Just let him walk the streets? Or somebody like that, right, who wasn't CIA-backed. Haha. Just kidding.
Should have given him a record contract.
Yeah, should have given him a record contract, exactly. So
would have avoided a lot of trouble.
But one of the things that when you talk to a prison abolitionist, even though their ideas may sound extreme on the at the outset, and maybe in a literal sense, even if they are, when you talk to someone who says, hey, we should actually strive towards a world without prison, in talking to a person like that, it gives you a great perspective as to just how extreme an act it is to put someone in prison, how extreme an act it is to take someone away from their family, out of society, lock them in a cage for years and years and years for doing not much of anything at all. I mean, Joe Biden's crime bill, you have people serving years and years in prison for nonviolent drug crimes.
Right.
That's not extreme. Like, that's more extreme than prison abolition. I think locking someone in a cage for snorting crack cocaine for 10 years, that's a much more extreme idea than saying we should just do away with prisons altogether. Much more, not even close.
Well, sure. That's why I've never had any patience for self-proclaimed liberals pumping up Joe Biden or even voting for Joe Biden while screaming Black Lives Matter. No one, or Kamala for that matter, I've said many, many times, I challenge you to name one living and active politician who has done more real world harm to Black and brown communities than Joe Biden. One who is still active. One. And nobody has ever been able to come up with a name because there is not one living and active politician who's done more real damage to those communities. And you're going to have Black Lives Matter in your profile and go Joe Biden. And yes, Kamala Harris, she hasn't been around as long as that old fucking senile mummy. But she's done her share of damage with locking up people on marijuana charges. Very similar to this, fighting not to exonerate a man who DNA evidence would clear, fighting not to have the DNA. Why would you? What's the logic behind that? Of not examining the evidence? What if he's innocent?
No,
why
would
you fight not? That's what I'm saying. They want the win. It's not Law and Order. It's where you have these conscientious prosecutors. God damn it, Jim! I think he's innocent. It's not like that. They're racking up that your life is a notch on their belt. That's
exactly. Yep. It's a win-loss column, so that when they decide to run for office, they can point to this great record of keeping the people safe from the scary people who we put in jail for no reason. Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it is. So once again, just to put a button on this segment, we'll put the number up again. That is the governor's office. That's a public number. Call, leave a voicemail, email, tweet. We basically have tomorrow That's basically the day. And, I mean, you could do it now. I would imagine it's probably best to do it when they're open. But whenever you can, get it done. Okay. All right. We will move on here. Let's take a word from our patrons. Jake, do you got that patron scroll up there that we could throw up on the screen? Folks, if you would like to become a member of this show, you can help us create more content, more streams, more videos, more podcasts, more interviews, more of everything by becoming a member. It's the best way to help keep us afloat. You can go to patreon.com/DoDissidence. You can also join our Substack at dodissidence.substack.com or our locals, dodissidence.locals.com. We also stream now to locals where paid members get access to their own chat. So that's an extra perk that's available on locals that is not available on the other two just because the infrastructure isn't there on the other platforms. So locals is a great platform. It's a free speech platform. DoDissidence.locals.com. If you're watching on Rumble now, you can hit that bright red join button underneath the video screen. That takes you right to the locals page where for $5 a month, you get your name up in lights on the show credits. You also get call-in access to our post-show Q&As every Sunday night after the main show, which tonight is Sunday, so we'll be doing a post-show Q&A this evening. And you also get access to 2 supporter streams per month. We're doing a supporter stream tomorrow. That's Monday, the 23rd, at 2 p.m. Eastern. Monday matinee tomorrow for supporters only. That's going to be a really fun show, interactive. We'll take your calls and we'll do some content. You get all that for just $5 a month when you support the show. So dodissidence.locals.com, dodissidence.substack.com, or patreon.com/dodissidence. Thank you all very much for your support.
And do not forget to stick around for the Rumble crossover tonight. Not only do we have 2 segments that are too hot for YouTube going on over there, I have also, last week, we did not get around to doing a James Earl Jones tribute. So for the intermission this week, we have a special tribute to the great James Earl Jones. So stick around for both of those.
Yes. Yes. And we have 2 really intense segments. One pretty dark, one I think pretty hilarious, that are going to be on Rumble. So the show is not over when YouTube is over.
We're going to be covering the Diddy story in a way that you're not going to see on YouTube.
Yeah. And the Mark Robinson story, which is just really funny.
I went to Kurt Metzger for a lot of my sourcing, so
there you go.
You can imagine how this is going to go.
All right. Kenman G says, I'll take the mayonnaise. Thank you, Kenman G. Noah Goop. Trump's peace plan seems to be let the Israelis kill all the Palestinians they want. No war if one side doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, get it done quick.
Pretty
That's
much.
his thing.
Pretty much.
Yep. I agree. Let's see. Kenman G, if there was a song for voters this year, it would be Let Go by Imogen Heap. Let Go. What are you waiting for? There's beauty in breakdown. There you go, Kenman.
Seriously.
Thank you for that.
I feel like Ed Norton looking through the plate glass window at the end of Fight Club, watching the city explode.
Right. Yeah. Bonzo Beans, is Trump the most transparent president in U.S. history? Well, in the sense that he's got the loosest lips, I would say that. Thank you, Bonzo Beans. Ficus, guys, I like Jill Stein, but you should get Dr. Shiva on the show. I think you'd like him. Yeah, how's his campaign going?
How's that going?
Yeah, how's that
yeah,
going?
what's up?
What's up with that guy? Speaking of Hitler's mustache, says P.W. Walker, did you know that Hitler and Lieutenant Worf kissed? Their facial hair wouldn't touch. There you go. Thank you. Interesting.
I see that.
Interesting observation. Yeah, there you go. Russ is out here buying illegals, says the judge. Yeah. Yeah. He's opening a factory. He wants the Haitians to come work for him. Let's see. Web Angel PB, last time you didn't read my rant. I think Lebanon and Iran should retaliate against Israel soon and not let them continue to pick them off little by little. Thank you, Web Angel PB. Sorry if we missed that last time.
I think they're in a tight spot because basically they have to commit to fighting the United States to do that.
Right. That's World War III. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah, then Russia jumps in, right? Freebie for life. Thanks for the $20. This weekly show really helps with the Sunday scaries. Thanks for always being a bright spot in the week. The best show. People say it's the brightest show ever made. Thank you, Freebie for life. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's very kind of you. Thank you for that generous donation. Okay. For $200, you could be as anti-Semitic as you want. Most Jewish thing I've ever heard. Stepping up to money for that one. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Okay. Golnara Marchesi, thanks for the $20 super sticker over on YouTube. Q-Star Sonic.
No, not did you eat, but did you eat?
Yeah. Q-Star Sonic, thanks for the $9.99. That's very kind of you. Peter Monahan says, hey guys, this is Gator. I've been pretty weak all week on a chemicals in me for tomorrow. I go in and talk to my surgeons for my main surgery. And then in the afternoon, I get a stomach tube placing my stomach so I can eat again. I mean, hang in there, man. Godspeed.
Hang on,
Keep
man.
in touch. Yes. But your surgery is what, the 16th? So you're just a few weeks away until hopefully they can get that taken care of. So be strong. Bone broth. Lots of good proteins there. Be strong. Kuznetsky Bassane, thanks for the $1.99. Check with your doctor, by the way. Don't take my medical advice. I just know bone broth is generally good for you. I figure it can't hurt. That shit is good and it's healthy.
Nothing we ever say should be taken as medical advice.
Yes, nothing should ever be taken as medical advice. That's right. Kuznetsky Bassane, thanks for the $1.99. Maybe Trump doesn't want to win. I have considered
that. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. A lot of people have speculated after not one now, but 2 assassination attempts. Maybe he doesn't want it anymore.
He was doing so well up until the first one, and it would make sense that after that first one, he would just cut a deal. All right, I'll throw it. Just don't shoot me and pardon me after you win as a show of unity. Just, and I'll figure out a way to blow this. So Keaton looks like radar. Thank you, Barbara Howard.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got it. You nailed it. Yep.
There we go. Steve McNelly, thanks for the $50. Let's have a cowbell for Steve. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that very much. I'm here late. Was just catching up on Galloway. Busy morning here in Australia. So I come over here and seems Keaton has found the keys to a DeLorean and went back in time to 1988. Don't hog him, mate. I could do with a facelift myself. Yeah, man. People are digging the new look. This is a hit. This new look is a hit. It's a hit. People like it. People are saying great things. No one's ever seen a look like this before. It's incredible. It's amazing. All right, folks. This is one of the cringiest things you'll see in a while. Just I got to give you a cringe warning here. This is the cast of Hamilton recorded a new song for the home stretch of the campaign season, urging people to go out and vote. So, fair warning. Here it is.
Women cast 10 million more. You say the loss is destructive, I say it's reproductive. So let my message be instructive. We've won each time our rights were gambled, and we're picking reps who will persist. And if you call me a suffragist, then check the internet, cause here I'm a suffragist. Work! Look it up, check your status at whenweallvote.org. Look it up, check your status at whenweallvote.org. Next DM or text 3 friends to check for sure they are registered.
Okay, you can tell I'm becoming an old cynical bastard when this stuff doesn't even bother me anymore. Now I just look at that and laugh. In 2016, that would make my blood boil. In 2020, even that would probably make my blood boil. I'm over the hill. I admit. I'm past being outraged by this. I mean, that is cringy, but it just makes me laugh. It doesn't actually make me angry anymore. Why is that? Do you think? What's wrong with me? Does it have the same effect on you?
No, it's still like a spike in my head.
See, this guy's still got it. He's got that youthful. He's a young soul. He's young at heart. This guy, young at heart.
I will not go gently into that. Good night, my friend.
Yeah,
not like you. You're in the hospice already.
I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace with it. This is what a dying country looks like.
What do they give you? Morphine, right?
Yeah,
you're on the morphine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It does horrify me. Because if there's anyone who should have more to say than this, it should be the artist. Now, I will give this proviso. The musical theater people are a little different from the theater people. Like the musical theater people, you're much more likely to find people who decided they wanted to do that because they loved Disney as a child. It's not as much the people who decided to do this because they loved Artaud.
Right.
So it's a different crowd. Like if you're going to find church-going kind of fundamentalist Christians in the performing arts world, they're going to be doing musical theater. So they're a different cut. At the same time, look, they're doing a vote message, but it's clearly very lib inflected. And
well, don't forget, this isn't Guys and Dolls. This is Hamilton. It's a very up its own ass virtue signal production.
Right.
I mean, it is political of in nature.
Right. And this is just a big lib virtue signal. And as somebody who's still kind of tuned into the conversation in that community and that crowd, yeah, I mean that this is about the depth of their politics. It's just the most superficial MSNBC. These people are so shallow that it would give Rachel Maddow pause. It would make Joy Reid say, don't you think there's a little more going on here? Like these people are just dumb as fence posts, really. And when it comes to anything that would cost them anything, they will not say a word. Which I think brings us to the other side of this segment, unless you have more, Keaton.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I would just say before we go in, because that's going to be its own separate clip, it's like this is the extent to which they will actually go out on a limb, right? I mean, what is the issue?
Well, there's no limb.
Yeah, they talk about reproductive rights, right? Which is the safest position to take in New York City. And as we've learned since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that's a safe position in fucking Kansas. Right. So like you're not actually taking a chance. You're not actually putting yourself out there to make a statement. You're taking the most boilerplate message and presenting yourself as this sort of hip, edgy artist who's willing to, go out there and put something on the line for the people by taking some sort of policy stand. And it's the safest policy stand you could take. If you take a policy stand in support of Palestine, for example, as we'll get into in the next segment, well, then you don't get to sell that many tickets. You don't get to be Hamilton.
Well, they're not going to get hired. They're not going to get hired. And that's really all they care about. At which point, I understand that. It's a viciously competitive business. So just shut the fuck up and stop pretending to have political opinions.
Exactly.
That mean anything. Just shut up. Shut up. Go. You want to just go act? Just go act. Don't pretend you have beliefs, morals, ethics, principles. You don't. You don't. You will not speak out on anything that's going to cost you a gig. And hey, I understand. Really, I do. It's a hyper-competitive industry where the actors are really the very bottom of the totem pole in terms of their ability to exercise any power over hiring. They're really like that. But there are more talented actors than any other type of role in the theater. Actors are much easier to find than good writers, than good grips, the good lighting designers. They are the easiest people to replace. So I understand you feel like you don't have the personal and professional power to do that. Then shut the fuck up. Don't pretend.
Exactly. I agree. Either shut up and sing or be brave. Like, if you want to be brave, like, people should speak out, People who speak out, like Macklemore, good on him, right? Either do that or shut up and sing. Don't do this half-ass thing where you take a totally safe position and you want credit for it as having some sort of political consciousness that you're sharing with the world. You're not. And the people who do go out on a limb often pay a price for it. And that's our next segment. So why don't we go into that right now? We can take a couple Rumble rants in between, I think, or super chats, just so we keep the lines moving here. Would you please call Harris a fucking scumbag? My wife is on a rant that you're harsher on Trump. I just want to watch the show in peace.
Tell your wife our catalog is full of that kind of content.
Yes, full of that content. Yes, fully available. Go back and watch any one of our streams. You'll find plenty of that. She can rest assured.
Lots of it in the back catalog.
That's right. More than the Trump bashing. Way more.
Yeah.
Actually,
I mean, if she makes news this week,
yeah,
we'll have a whole segment about that.
That's right.
Trump happened to go up on stage and describe in detail how owned he is by Miriam Adelson.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
She did not do that this week. So. And hey, like the Oprah thing we might have done, but it dropped right in a gap. So by now it's like it's passé now. Who cares?
Exactly. Let's see here. I sent you an email, said Furrow Squeen, about something else and recommended that you watch this particular Instagrammer. Next thing I see, he's also a Rage Against the War Machine. Cancel this clothing company. Very informative guy. All right. Well, maybe Russell will meet him there. Thank you very much for that. Hillary Hinton, thanks for the $1. What's the over-under for Diddy to get himself Vince Foster to Pig Latin?
Listen, man, I covered the story from all the angles, so we will discuss quite a lot. I did a lot of work on that segment.
All right, Kyler Bleeker, thanks for the $5 over on YouTube. For swing state voters, is it enough to vote for Stein, or could it ultimately be necessary to vote Trump to ensure the Dems lose? We are post-duopoly voters here. That's what I suggest. I mean, it's up to you.
I mean, there's what I will say, because there was a whole thing this week on Twitter about she had first hesitated to call Putin a war criminal, and then she got pushed and she put out a statement where she kind of reversed her opinion, and there was a whole meltdown about it. Now, we have been extremely frank about the shortcomings of the Green Party, to the point that they don't return our calls. They don't like us very much, I don't think. Even though I actually reached out to their campaign manager to try to smooth things over and give them an opportunity to explain the kinds of issues you have trying to run a third party. But you know what? I don't really care about the Green Party, frankly, one way or the other. But when I saw that polling that Muslims are voting for her in a majority in some places, combined with the fact that Shama Sawant, who we respect a great deal as a political strategist, one of the few really quality organizers that the left has, she sees strategic value in using that campaign or collaborating with that campaign as part of her overall worker strike back project. You know, when I looked at all that, I said, okay, man, it's not even really about the Green Party. It's not even about that. Because of the horrors of Gaza, you got a bunch of people who are not leftists necessarily. They're not Green Party people, certainly, but in numbers we've never seen before. You have this group in some key states that are willing to vote for her. Shut the fuck up for 6 weeks. That's my opinion. It doesn't mean, look, the Greens, as a lot of people point out, they pop up every 4 years. Now, look, they push back on that. They say, no, you're just not seeing we're doing a lot of other stuff. So I don't want to weigh in on that. But, you're talking like she's going to be the president. Democratic Party skull, meet blunt object. That's the object you've got. You really don't have another one right now. Who cares what she says in a statement? I mean, honestly, who cares? Who cares? Muslims are voting in majorities in some places for this third party candidate. We're not even saying go get involved with the Green Party, go volunteer, go donate. We've emphatically not said that in other segments. But hey, man, she's got some momentum going. This is a great example of why the left never really gains power. I mean, the real left. I'm not talking about the liberals. There is that tendency towards infighting. And frankly, you look at some of the history of COINTELPRO and the way they would infiltrate movements to get them to fight with each other. What really occurs to me is, they probably don't even have to do much of that anymore. Social media, the way social media algorithms work, it does that they don't have to do anything to get the left to all start fighting each other, because the vicious algorithms, the vicious logic of them makes it incentivizes barking at the moon. Everybody wants to jump on a soapbox and beat their chest. Oh my God, just shut the fuck up for 6 weeks, dude. What else you got? And I will also say this about the Greens. And again, if you've watched the show, we have been extremely critical of the Greens. What if you wanted to start a third party and you tried to make it this nationwide thing? How do you think that would go? You're not going to get overrun by infiltrators and spies and have people stab you in the back. Like, does that mean that the entire organization is corrupt? Now, look, I am of the opinion that they're allowed to exist as a funnel for left energy that's not going to go anywhere. I honestly believe that. I've never, and we've never said we think Stein is a plant, or we think that she's a agent provocateur or something. But I guess I would ask, with a lot of people who freaked out about that, have you ever won an office? Like, have you ever organized a campaign and won? Have you ever actually tried to do anything like this? Shama has, and she sees value. And my theory, and I'm not repeating something she said, this is my theory. I think she feels that organizing around it is something she can take into her worker strike back movement, which is something, unlike the Greens, frankly, that we are interested in getting invested in and support. And we'll see later. For the time being, if she's on the ballot in your state, vote for her. What she might say or not say in a statement right now, who cares? She's not going to be the president. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a vehicle for any kind of movement building. It's just a glass dildo that you get to jam up the Democrats' ass as far as you can. That's all it really is. Yeah,
Thank you.
It doesn't really matter what they say at this point. Right. Airwaves, please Google / and teach my voice to text app where that friggin' key is. All right. Thank you, Airwaves. Appreciate that. All right, folks. Hey, let's do a solar panel ad. I like the solar panel ad.
And by the way,
hold on. We're starting now. Hold on. Not yet. It's National Preparedness Month, so at 4 Patriots, we want to celebrate by bringing back this unbelievable buy one, get one deal on solar generators. For a limited time, when you buy the powerful Patriot Power Generator 2000X, you get a mini generator for free. Plus, you'll also score 2 solar panels for free, too. That's right, not 1, but 2 solar panels come with this incredible buy one, get one deal on solar generators. So claim your power independence and free mini generator and free solar panels by going to 4patriots.com. Hurry, though, you only have until midnight on September 30th to claim your free mini generator. So that is a package, a free mini generator plus buy one, get one on the solars. So go to 4patriots.com today. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but once we hit that we're reading, they check and say, okay, at this point, when I hit the button, that's when they start watching the ad. So if I say, okay, the ad starts at this point, it can't cut to you being like, and by the way, fucking Jill Stein, so we got,
No, I was actually going to talk about this. Is this the one we got the email about?
Yeah, well, that's also not something to include in the ad read either. But yes, we got an email saying that they were not a reputable company and to look them up at the Better Business Bureau. So I did my due diligence, and they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So I don't know where you got that from. So yeah.
Yes, we looked it up. We did look it up.
We did look
into it. Man, if they had a bad rating, we wouldn't have read it.
No, we wouldn't have read it, but they had an A+. Yeah, so. Exactly. They had it's a beautiful rating. That's an A+. That's a perfect rating.
Everyone's
that's a perfect
talking
rating.
About it.
Nobody's
ever seen a rating like that.
No one's ever seen a rating. It's very hard to get A+. I've never gotten above a D myself. I get lucky when the Trump stakes. Joe, you should see the Better Business Bureau Trump stakes. It's an F. They say they got E. coli, the green meat. They say it's all lies, but I have a terrible rating. A+ is a beautiful rating.
They told me the steaks would be cheaper with the slime on it, so I decided not to have them wash it off.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. Let's go to Derek P. Thanks for the $5. When you put a $sign on everything, this is the society that you get. Absolutely. Yes. That, to me, is the thing. This is late-stage capitalism. Look, I'm not a doctrinaire communist, but I am a Marxist in the sense that I do believe Marx's critique of capitalism and his description of the inevitable arc of capitalism is accurate, and we are in the phase where capitalism has swallowed the society. And neither the Democrats nor the Republicans can reverse that because they are both parties of capital. So that's it.
Right.
MCFC, thanks for the $9.99. Side note, might there be a class action lawsuit against states that purchase drugs for death row so that a citizen can purchase lower drug prescription for healthcare? Good question. Good idea, MCFC. I like that. I like that thinking very much. It's me. I'm here. Thanks for the $5. How many libs orgasm to the Hamilton cast voting song? But really, those harmonies were so sharp. WTF. Yeah, that was quite the listen. All right, let's go to part B of our theater segment here. Russell, you found this one.
All right, so here is exactly what we're talking about. Both me and Keaton, for anyone who doesn't know, most of you do, we both came out of the theater. And I wrote a whole article about how awful the art scene is now. And this is a really good example. So this is in England. Manchester Theatre cancels show's entire run over Gaza and trans rights references. Spoiler alert, it's not about the trans rights.
Right.
They've been putting that content into theater shows for years. It's stunning and brave. They love that. They're using that as a cover for what it's really about.
Right.
Manchester's Royal Exchange Theatre has canceled the entire run of a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream over references to the conflict in Gaza and trans rights, according to reports. The production, which had been due to run for 5 weeks from 6 September, was to be a modern retelling of the Shakespeare classic set in contemporary Manchester to a drum and bass soundtrack. The first few performances of the play were canceled, with ticket holders told that the shows had been axed due to technical issues and cast injury. However, the entire run was later canceled, with the theater, one of Manchester's most important cultural venues, saying the decision came following a number of issues with the production. According to the Manchester Evening News, the source of the dispute was a song in the play which referenced trans rights and contained the phrase "Free Palestine." Yes, I am telling you, it's the latter, not the former.
Quite obviously. Like, it is insulting to suggest that the trans reference was the reference that got the show canceled.
Yes, like every theater on both continents has not been jamming that into every production at every opportunity for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
According to the newspaper, the theater had asked for the song, which involved the audience, to be removed, but the director, Steph O'Driscoll, with the support of the cast, insisted it should stay. According to the Stage Theater Industry newspaper, the dispute also centered around spray-painted "Free Palestine" graffiti, which formed part of the set. Well, that killed it right there. There was no way they were letting that happen.
Right.
They did the first preview, at which point the theater said they're going to have to cut the reference to trans rights and Free Palestine, a source close to the production told The Men. The director said, "No, this is my direction. It's what it's always been. We've had weeks and months, and you are now trying to change it after the first preview." The company were very solid and unified.
So now I get it. They said we take issue with both the trans reference and Free Palestine to make it look like they weren't singling out the Free Palestine.
Right.
This is just too political, right? You got to take out the trans references and the Free Palestine. They didn't want to make it look like they were singling that out, which of course they are.
Well, that's it. It's a smokescreen. Again, I mean, I don't think they've done a play at a major institution in the last 4 years where they didn't decide they needed to cast a trans person for no apparent reason in a female role.
Plus, Shakespeare, especially the fantasy comedies, are great vehicles to. I mean, it makes sense to put trans shit in there. I mean, Shakespeare had all kinds of trans shit in his plays.
Well,
you had
not
men
just
playing
that.
women, and all kinds of gender bending and all kinds of gender neutral roles with all kinds of creatures and things like that. Yeah.
Well, not just that. At the time that Shakespeare's plays were produced, women were not allowed to act. So all of those female roles were originally played by men.
Shakespeare was trans. He was born a woman, and he trans so he could write plays and act.
That's one of the more obscure theories about Shakespeare's true identity.
That's going to be a new Darryl Cooper 50-part podcast series.
It was actually all written by Elizabeth's trans servant.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
It is understood that the play's cast and crew have been paid in full for the production. At least that's good. With ticket holders set to receive full refunds, it is likely that the last-minute cancellation will have cost the theater tens of thousands of pounds. Quote, you can do that when you have government funding. Right. Quote, we are supporting members in dealing with the impact of this cancellation on their well-being and future relationships with the venue, said a spokesperson for the Performing Arts Trade Union Equity. Whilst we're pleased that the workforce will not be out of pocket, the issues that have led to the cancellation of the production require further discussion with Manchester Royal Exchange. Quote, Equity on Monday contacted the theater requesting an urgent meeting to discuss the reasons for cancellation, the impact on our members, and the steps being taken now. We remain very concerned about this situation and its impact on our members. The Manchester producer Sallow, who had provided the soundtrack and was due to take on the role of the moon in the play, said in an Instagram story that the work I put into this was huge, and she said she was gutted for herself and everyone involved. Don't want to talk about it too much as I'm emotionally drained, but we'll answer any questions about it at a later date, she said. Just need some time to process. At the Royal Exchange Theater, we want to work with artists who address complex issues, just not Palestine. The theater said in a statement. That last part was me. Sadly, in A Midsummer Night's Dream, a number of challenges occurred, which led to a decision to cancel the production, including injuries, a delayed technical week, and changes late in the process. Despite our best efforts, we were unable to get the show on as planned. Yeah, and listen, that theater, the show must go on ethos, that's real shit. You don't just cancel a show for the reasons described there. This was purely, they were terrified of putting on A Midsummer Night's Dream with the words Free Palestine on the set. Honestly, I think that was probably the deal breaker. It just like in a song, like they might have canceled it anyway, but that I think was probably the real straw that broke the camel's back. The fact that from what they're describing through this whole show, you would have had Free Palestine graffiti on the stage. They could not have that. They did not want to be in the middle of the shitstorm with Zionists, with AIPAC. They didn't want the attacks from, hey man, you know these people, the Israeli government. You could have Benjamin Netanyahu attacking and singling out this theater. Look, you can see the vicious anti-Semitism that's spreading everywhere, even in the theaters in England. This is why I said when I did that article,
Murray does a protest outside the theater.
Exactly. He does a hit piece on it. He starts trolling them in interviews. And you know what? You're joking, but that's true. Like, this is exactly the kind of thing that goons like Douglas Murray like to rant about on podcasts for a month. And they almost certainly would have if they had gone ahead and put this production
100%. I have no doubt about that. Also, theaters depend on rich donors to keep them in business, right? Rich people tend to skew pro-Israel. So how do you know you don't piss off 10 people who write you a check for £100,000 a year?
This is
that
why
could be an issue too.
Well, this is why Jimmy was nice enough to do a segment that did very well, actually, about my article about the theater. And, what I said in the segment is let these places all burn down. That's my advice to the artists. You know, in England, it might be a little harder because they get, figuratively, of course. It's harder in England because they get government funding. In America, these institutions are collapsing. And on the one hand, if you're in a major city, because the costs have gotten so high, it's harder to open up your own shop. If you're in a smaller city, a lot of those are still very cheap. But in the end, with the technology you have now to broadcast your productions, it's never been easier to go out on your own, to figure out a model for true independence. Because as long as you are dependent on these institutions, not only are you never really going to be able to speak out about what you care about, the whole scene is going to filter out all the interesting people until you just get these bland lobotomy cases singing that Hamilton song, singing the vote song from the Hamilton cast, because anyone who has more to say than that can't have a career. And what's going to happen to these people? What's going to happen to the creative team on this? They're not going to work now. Oh, you're the troublemakers.
Right. Exactly. All right. Canada Strike. Thanks for the $2. DD laying down the law. That was straight facts, guys. Every bit. More power to the Innocence Project. Call the number. Source, I'm a lowly criminal defense student. A lot of legal aid. Well, thank you for the compliment, Canada Strike.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that very much. All right. Fret Pound, thanks for the $20. Oh, boy. I'm a fan of you guys and a longtime fan of Darryl Cooper. He's not who you think I think you think he is. He's not who I think you think he is. I challenge you to have a conversation with him someday. Okay, well, thank you for the donation. He did block us at first mention of him. Not only did he block us at first mention of him, his main booster there, Dave Smith, got into a little back and forth with us. He challenged me to answer a question, have I listened to his body of work? I responded with a challenge to him back, and he disappeared. He never answered. So Martyrmade blocked us outright, and Dave Smith couldn't go 2 rounds with me. He challenged me, I challenged him back, and he disappeared. And I know he didn't just like turn his phone off and go to sleep.
Like a little girl.
Yeah, I didn't know. I know he didn't just turn his phone off and go to sleep, because he was actually DMing with Russ after I sent that challenge. And I put it very respectfully. You can check our Twitter feed.
I
didn't call him any names. I even complimented him. I said, I listened to this interview on your show because I generally appreciate what you have to say about things. And no answers. So there was real. So look, I appreciate your support. Martyrmade himself blocked us, and then Dave Smith, like I said, didn't last 2 rounds. I challenged him on a very basic point, and he had no answer. So that's all I will say.
Yeah, and I'll also say I understand how people like Doris Kearns Goodwin have given historians a bad name, but there are a lot of other historians who are valid. Do people understand what historians do, I wonder? Because what historians do usually is go to primary sources, meaning not like books like this, like primary sources like archives, libraries, dig up old troves of documents. And you know what else they do? They give you footnotes, they give you bibliographies, they defend their arguments with the research that they've done. They're not people who just read a bunch of books and have an opinion. That's not a historian. That's a fed with a podcast. Now, you enjoy it. God bless you. Enjoy it. It's not a serious contention to suggest that this person is a historian. He's not a historian. He's a fed with a podcast who you find entertaining, which more power to you. Go and life's short. If you enjoy it, God bless you.
Noah Goop. That song gave me Lori Lightfoot vote, 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 parade dance vibes. Thank you for that. Link here if you haven't seen it. Thank you for linking to that for the audience. Thank you, Noah. Appreciate that very much. What we got here? B-Man, there's a new ad for Kamala that came out, 200 names, NS4A, military and intel. Oh, yeah, new endorsement list? That doesn't surprise me. SB, thanks for the $5. On the D penalty, what about war criminals? I can't see justice with those guys around the crimes against Iraq, Libya, and Palestine are unforgivable. It's not about whether they're forgivable or not. I just don't see the point in the state putting someone to death. Like, what is the point? Because they deserve it? I mean, the point of justice is to protect the public from dangerous people and to punish people who commit horrible crimes. Life in prison, if you've ever spent a few days in jail, you know that life in prison is a deterrent. That is a deterrent. We do not have to take it to barbaric lengths and start injecting people with poison, tying them down, and killing them. That's my opinion. Richard Pemberton.
3 days in jail.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Richard Pemberton.
That was enough for me. That scared me straight.
Oh, yeah.
I got my GED and went to college after my first arrest. I was like, fuck the life of crime thing.
That's right. Richard Pemberton, thanks to the $20. Isn't a good career move for actors to do cringe musical theater songs supporting Harris? Maybe that's one reason they do it. I mean, they're in the Hamilton cast.
Sure.
Hamilton is a lib production. That's why they did it. Yeah.
Sure.
For sure.
No, it is a good career move for them.
And it is.
Because the entire, you think Hollywood is bad.
Right.
You go try to find a non-lib theater person. Good luck.
Right. Exactly.
I think I know all of them because they always message me privately to thank me for saying what they can if they want to continue to work.
That's right. That's right. Russell hears from a lot of his theater friends, a lot of his peers. Okay, folks, we got one more segment on the YouTube side. Plenty of show left. So we're going to do this segment. We're going to take our remaining YouTube super chats, and then we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to do Rumble rants and the remaining segments on the Rumble side. But China spoke before the UN Security Council and expressed some great moral clarity about the Israeli attacks using pagers in Lebanon. So let's hear from the great human rights abuser, China, and then we will contrast that with the nice white American boy, Matthew Miller, at the State Department. So we'll see who prioritizes human rights more. Let's first hear from the Chinese at the UN.
Communications devices in thousands of communications devices in Lebanon, including pagers and two-way radios, were detonated remotely and simultaneously. The explosions caused thousands of civilian casualties. China hereby registers profound shock and grave concern over this development. Children playing in the streets lost their eyes. Mothers shopping in supermarkets had their limbs maimed. Doctors on their way to work were critically injured. These and other harrowing scenes are distressing beyond imagination. Remotely detonating communications devices in indiscriminate attacks, causing mass civilian casualties and panic in society, is unheard of in history. This act is, without a doubt, a gross violation of a country's sovereignty and security, and a blatant breach of international law, particularly international humanitarian law. Is an act that tramples on human lives with unconscionable callousness. The attacks were so outrageously brutal and atrocious that they deserve nothing less than condemnation in the strongest terms.
All right, so there's China. Nothing less than condemnation in the strongest terms. Now let's go to our own State Department, Count Smirkula, as he's called in popular circles. We call him Morlock over here, Matthew Miller. Here he is, asked about the pager attacks.
I wanted to pin down some of the basics again on the exploding pagers. I mean, is it still your position that you are not saying publicly who you believe carried out these attacks?
I don't have any comment on it at all.
And is there any reason that you wouldn't say what your assessment is of who carried these out?
I just don't have any comment on it at all.
Okay. 2 days ago, you said the U.S. was not aware of this.
Smile. Look at the shit-eating grin on this guy's face.
Still accurate?
Yeah, it's funny.
The statement I made on 2 days ago was absolutely accurate.
You didn't know about the incident in advance?
Correct.
Okay. Because, I mean, there has been some reporting that there was a call from the Israelis to say that something was going to happen in Lebanon on Tuesday. Do you have any comment on that report?
The statement I made on Tuesday was 100% accurate.
Okay, and just to follow up on the point about targeting and international humanitarian law, I mean, presumably the State Department is aware of the amended Protocol 2 of the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons, which prohibits the use of booby traps or other devices in the form of harmless portable objects. Is that something you're taking into account when you're assessing and gathering information on this?
So we take into account all of the relevant provisions of international humanitarian law when it assesses, when we assess incidents of this type and other incidents throughout this conflict. I don't pronounce judgment on those from this podium, but those are the types of things that we look at. Yes, absolutely.
And given, I mean, just to reiterate the point, I mean, thousands of explosions, 2 children killed. You know, we've seen explosions in public places, in grocery stores, on the streets,
take the smirk off your
healthcare
face.
workers among casualties. I mean, does that feel to you like a targeted attack that falls within the remit of international humanitarian law?
So I'm not going to talk about feelings here. We deal in factual assessments of law.
That's what he just asked you. He didn't ask you how you feel about it. He knows you're a bloodless psychopath. If you weren't, you'd have resigned from this post about 10 months ago. He didn't ask
Has anyone ever tried opening the drapes and letting in the sunlight while he's at that podium?
Yeah, right, exactly. Anybody ever think of bringing like some garlic into the room? Yeah. Come in. That guy there should come in. Who's the guy? Who's our favorite guy? The new journal, the film noir guy. What's his name? Matt Lee. Matt Lee. You know, our guy, Matt Lee there, the guy with the crinkly newspaper with the real old school
Matt
guy.
Lee, yeah.
He should bring a piece of garlic bread
should
in there next time.
Run up on him with a mirror.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
There's no reflection.
The type of assessments that we conduct over time where we gather information and make those assessments based on the facts, based on the law. Those assessments are ongoing. It's not to speak to this incident or any specific incident, but those are things we take very seriously.
Okay, so you just saw there. You just saw China speak with just crystal clear vision on this, call it for what it is.
Right.
And then you see our State Department, the guy has a shit-eating grin on his face for the first few questions. Only after they interrogate him does he give any answer at all. That's the face of the United States when this subject comes up versus China. Now, look, I'm not a utopian thinker. I don't think any system is beyond criticism because I don't think any system succeeds indefinitely over time. I think all systems fail over time, and so I would not defend China as a utopia. But this is just one of many examples where you look and you say, who the fuck are we to be lecturing anybody about human rights?
Right. Yeah. When you really get your head out of the way that we're all conditioned and trained in this society, it's just absurd, the idea that we're the good guys in this story. We're responsible for the deaths of millions upon millions of people in the post-war era, not to mention pre-post-war. So, you know, the idea that that China or Russia are unique and existential evils. And this is why, when you ask people who are not brainwashed by our media around the world, before Gaza, what's the greatest threat to peace in the world? None of them say Russia. None of them say China. They always say the United States. Majorities always say the United States. There's a reason for that. And it is only because we are such an arrogant, ignorant country, so far up its own ass, that the response of that by Americans, and also very propagandized population, would be, well, they just don't understand. They just don't understand. I mean, that's the assumption that really in the Kool-Aid Americans make. Well, they're ignorant there. Those people are ignorant. They don't really understand how things work. We do. We do here. They don't get it. Yeah, Americans, some of the most ignorant people in the world in regards to history, in regards to languages, in regards to geography. No. We've got a better handle on our role in the world than the people who are actually impacted by it do.
Yeah. Yep. Just thought that was a quick little segment worth doing, just because that is one of many recent examples where the contrast is pretty startling. Pretty startling, especially around Israel, Gaza.
When you travel as an American, if you know where shit is, they're always surprised. They don't expect it.
Right. Yeah, I bet that's true. I bet that is true.
I'm telling you, it's true from experience. If you're not like an ignorant slob, they're actually a little surprised. You can tell.
I bet.
You know about that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, like they're talking to a third grader.
That's right. All right, folks, we're going to switch over to Rumble soon. We just got a few super chats to read over here, and I'm going to do an ad for Rumble Premium. Since we're all switching to Rumble anyway, this would be a good time to tell you about Rumble Premium. So, this sponsorship is directly from Rumble, and it's one that's incredibly important to the survival of the company. So when Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on issues like the COVID pandemic, but they did. And Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration in the letter that Mark Zuckerberg wrote just a few weeks ago. Rumble did not fold to this pressure. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech, and Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers because they don't get much of it. So watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium, which is the ad-free version of the Rumble video platform. So join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. So go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO to sign up. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we are just happy if you watch us on the platform. Okay, great. We're going to read some super chats here before we head out. We will take all of your Rumble rants. We're going to read Rumble rants on the Rumble side after a 5-minute intermission. We have the Q&A there, but we have lots more show. We have 2 of our spiciest segments of the night over on Rumble, so do not miss it. Please join us over there. If you go to dodissidents.com/Rumble, you will go directly to this live stream.
Oh, let's plug my tour.
Find us there.
Tour.
Here. Let me just here. Why don't you pull that up on the screen? Or Jake, can you pull up dodissidents.com/tour and then share it in just a second? Let me read Kuznetsky Bassane's piece here first. Okay, this airplane is going to hit the mountain, people. You just have to survive the crash, someone once said. Thank you, Kuznetsky Bassane. Landrew, thanks for the $100. Let's have a sound drop and a cowbell for Landrew. Can we come here for emotional support on election night? Of course you can. The new Palestine where all citizens are free. Jill Stein. Yes, of course we're going to have an epic election night live stream. Of course we are. Who would we be if we weren't? We're going to start right when the polls close, 7 o'clock. We'll probably start a half hour before that, and we are going to go into the wee hours of the morning, probably until 2 or 3 a.m.
That's going to be an extremely rare case where I get drunk during the stream. Yeah. I've never done that before, but I think I'm going to need it that night.
We are doing that.
Landrew is dead.
So thank you very much for that donation. And yes, we are live all nights on election night and into the morning. Kamaswari Kate, thanks for the $5. A book written by a true historian. I'll burn that bridge when I get to it. Norman Finkelstein. Yeah, we interviewed him about that book. That was our first interview with him. We read it.
Yes.
We read it. We read 3 pages of it, which he called us out for. No, we're kidding.
There's why I look. I don't want to open this gap, but it's hilarious to me, people saying they want Norm to evaluate that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, we love Norm, but Norm is a big credentialist.
Oh, yeah.
You bring to Norm, if you even say to Norm, this guy is a historian, as soon as he sees he has no training, no credentials, no published papers, no footnotes, no bibliography, on what basis does this man claim to be a historian?
What would compel you to think he's worth my time?
That's why, honestly, we thought about bringing him on, but we knew we'd have that reaction. We were like, he's going to be like, why would you even ask me something?
It'd be like a 10-minute interview.
Exactly. Right. He would almost be insulted by being dragged into a conversation like that.
Yeah. The repairman was supposed to come and fix my air conditioner, and I postponed for this.
Yeah. Like, if you think that would go well, you don't understand Norm at all.
All right. Do you want to plug your tour quick?
I do. All right. So ticks are going fast. What is it? I think I got 11 left for Saturday. I got 17 left for Friday. It is October 25th, October 26th. I am going to be taking you to some very cool locations in Greenwich Village. I'll be taking you to the site of a very famous Weather Underground bombing. I'll be taking you also to the site of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, which a lot of people feel was what really invigorated the union movement around the turn of the century. A spot where G.G. Allen played. Not all of you will know who that is, but if you know, you know. It's going to be a gross story. The site of an MK Ultra safe house. So a lot of very cool stuff. And I end the tour about 3 blocks from the pizza place that I always advise, Bleecker Street Pizza, so you can finish up with a Nona slice.
There you go. Tickets on sale now. DueDissidents.com/tour. Night 2 will be live streamed for patrons only, too. So if you're not in the New York area, you can join the tour virtually if you're a member. Joshua Vandenberg, have you read American Exception by Aaron Good? I have not. I'll give you a heart for that one, though. Thank you for that. Brendan McNamara, thanks for the $5. Now you guys are being biased against vampires. Y'all are Transylvania phobic. Thank you, Brendan McNamara. Appreciate that very much. Okay, folks, we are going to take a 5-minute intermission. We have plenty of show left. We want you to come join us at DueDissidents.com/Rumble for the free speech portion of the show, and we are going to take good advantage of that tonight. These are going to be some wacky, wild segments over there, so please join us.
We got P. Diddy. We got Robinson.
We got
Mark
Robinson.
Have, for the intermission, we have a special tribute to James Earl Jones.
That's right. A special tribute to James Earl Jones on the intermission, which will start right now. I'm not even going to say we'll see you Tuesday, because we won't see you Tuesday. We need everybody over to Rumble now. We've only been going 2 hours. We've got plenty of show left. You guys usually join us for 3. Head over there, DueDissidents.com/Rumble. If you guys are patrons, paid Substackers, and paid Locals members, please do not call in yet, because we still have a bunch of stuff loaded in here. We will let you know when to call in. It'll be about midway through the final segment. I will let you know so that we have a seamless transition. Right now, there will be a 5-minute intermission followed by the conclusion of the program plus the Q&A over on Rumble, DueDissidents.com/Rumble. We will see you there in 5 minutes. For the next 5 minutes, be safe and be well.
Courage.
Please clap.